Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner. Today's video is going to be pretty simple, and that is it's going to be an update to my Hieratic Dragon deck. I know there are people who have been wanting to see what my deck is looking like now, especially after all these builds have popped up over the course of national season. The one that topped Jamaica, the one that got 64 America, and other stuff. And first off, I'm just going to say right now, the Chaos build that I posted a while ago, while it's alright, just does not compare to a pure Atum style thing, just straight up Atum loop spam, with the cards and such. I mean, decent, but it basically plays like an inferior version of Chaos Dragon, and why go to all that trouble to play a not so great Chaos Dragon when you can just make straight up Chaos Dragon and just lulls people around with your Light Pulsar Bright Eyes Darkness Dragon loop and Darkness Metal Dragon loop. And honestly, I'm not a fan of how Hanzo builds. I know there are people who will say, well, Hanzo's great, and he's a good card. It's just, I don't really like it in Hieratic. It's just my own personal taste. And yes, it did win that one major event in the Asia Summer, but that was also an event where Gores was not legal. And in an environment where there's no Gores, you can do all kinds of crazy shit. So yeah, let's just get on with this. And no, this is not the Red Eyes Darkness Dragon Hieratic deck that I was using too. That will come in due time. I gotta take this apart actually so I can build that deck IRL and muck around with it, because that just looks too much fun to pass up. Okay, so running 3 Tefnut, only 2 a set. 3 can be a bit cloggy. I'm not wholly completely dedicated to just the OTK. I am running a couple cards in here to help combat recent changes to the game and kind of locals to an extent too. 3 Sue and 2 Neptet. 1 or 2, it depends on if you want to main deck Dark Hole or not. If you're main decking Dark Hole, then you can get away with 1 Neptet. If you're not main decking Dark Hole, then you run 2 Neptet. That's just pretty much what it comes down to. Then you get your 2 Vanillas, Luster Dragon number 2 and Wattail Dragon. Don't run 2 of the same card unless you're fairly confident no one's going to be main decking Chain Disappearance or side decking it. You can get away with it on Dueling Network because nobody main decks Chain Disappearance on there. Then you got 3 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, triple card D. Basically, I've said it once before, I'll say it again. If your opponent can Veilers this, they're a fool. The only time it sucks to have this Veilered is in the opening turn. Otherwise, though, if this thing gets Veilered, then that is one less out people have to this. You waste a card on card D, you have one less out for Tomb. And in that case, you're far off, you're worse off in the long run than in the short term. So basically, most smart people are going to leave card D alone, and I get to thin out my deck by 2 cards. I hear that's pretty good. 2 Birdman. This I picked up from Paul Cooper's build that got top 64 American Nats. Basically, you bounce back your Darkness Metal Dragon to special summon this. Your Darkness Metal Dragon, the one with no stats because you brought it out with a tomb, then you can just synchro off with your level 5s to make Stardust or Scrap Dragon, and then you can banish something to special summon the Darkness Metal Dragon and just completely ham on your opponent. Being able to put out your Hieratic field and the Stardust Dragon is very, very good, as it saves you from that top deck Dark Hole that your opponent happens to get. Then I am running Veiler and Maxi from my standard hand traps. They're just to basically combat windups, Inzectors, yada yada yada. Maxi is also pretty decent against Chaos Dragon in the sense that if you know they are backed into a corner and they have no choice but to try to ham their way out of your field, you can pitch Maxi during their standby phase and they can still try and ham you, but you're going to be drawing cards at the same time, and you just might get into that Gores or that Trag and just stonewall them. So it's basically a threatening war in that sense. They either decide to go for it, or they'll just hold off and try and do shit on the next turn, and by that point, you may have already beaten them. Lastly, Gores and Trag. If you don't like Maxine here, then you can put this up to 2 and Veiler up to 3. I just like 1-ofs for each. Gores is an OTK stopper. Trag, it's pretty big because you more often than not are going to be holding lots of cards in your hand until you're ready to pound your opponent's face in. Then for spells, got triple MST to clear away the back row, Triple Seal of Complication. Good card is good. Triple Pot of Duality. I didn't think I really would have to explain this in any detail, but I'll do it regardless because there have been questions asked. You run Pot of Duality in this deck, in particular this particular style of Hieratic deck, because you're not going to be special summoning unless you have a game-winning hand. What does Pot of Duality do? It helps you get to that game-winning hand one turn sooner. So what if you can't special summon? Most things Hieratics do will just pass turn until they're ready to smash face. So that's why Pot of Duality is good in here. It just gets you to your ability to beat your opponent in that much faster. Double Forbidden Lance. Protecting Atum and Sue from Bottom's Trap Hole is very important, and Forbidden Lance does that. Not to mention, if they veil your Atum, you can just put Lance down, and if they try and beat over it, guess what? They can't. One book to shut off annoying monsters like Thunder King Ryle, Fossil Dyna, that kind of stuff. Not to mention, you can put bigger monsters into defense, and then you can pierce over them with Gaia Dragon. Storm to clear back row, and Monster Born. As I mentioned, I got 2 nets in here, so there's no need for Dark Hole. Now, for my extra deck, it consists of 3 Hieratic King of Atum. So glad this was not bumped up to secret rare. I would have been really pissed if Konami did that, but they didn't. And I like that. Basically, this card's dumb. People are starting to recognize that this is a very big problem, and they're saving their outs for this guy as opposed to Card D. But basically, yeah, a Hieratic Dragon King of Atum that gets off safely just lets you just wombo combo your opponent, and then when it's completely unable to do anything, i.e. use its effect, or it has no material, you just slap down 2 of these guys and just take it from there. Pretty good cards. 2 copies of Strike Bouncer to negate monster effects. This is integral to the Inzektor matchup and even to the Chaos Dragon matchup to an extent, because you can stop Lila, you can stop some stuff. And if you can back it up with a Lance, you're in really good shape. 1 copy of Inzektor Excabudal. Also a very important card. It allows you to get around wind-up Zenmanes, which is a problem because a Zenmanes will stop your OTK by at least 3 attacks. And Excabudal just sends that thing off, and then you drop Gaia Dragon, and you just take it from there. Also, it's really fun to steal people's Grappless. Menadrius is my level 5s, I mean my rank 5s, they're on spot removal. And then for my synchros, running Scrap Dragon and Stardust Dragon, your 2 best level 8s. Ancient Fairy, Black Rose, and Exploder Dragon Wing as my monsters I can use by going Tough Nut plus Effect Veiler. This clears field spells, this nukes the field, and this gets over defenders like Spirit Reaper. And just for shits and giggles, I'll show you my current side. This is going to be subject to change, but right now it's 2 Kaiku to get around Chaos Dragon and Dark World. Just get their shit out of the graveyard. They can't banish it, so it stops gates, it stops Chaos Dragon summons, stuff, that kind of stuff. He's also 1800, so it's not that bad. But yeah, it's kind of there for that. Electric Virus, swipe the Pulsar Dragon, overlay it with your Tefnut to make a tomb. I hear that's pretty good, or you can even just banish it for Darkness Metal. Or just take their Darkness Metal. One of the 2. Gemini Imps, Dark Worlds. Yeah, this is mainly for Dark World. Dark World's a very tough matchup for this because they can just knock out your needed pieces with Drag Down, and Gemini Imp stops that. You don't want them to hit your Tefnut or your Sue. So, yeah, protecting against that is very important. And there are Dark Worlds at my locals. So, yeah, I just kind of teched up my side for that. Dark Holes and 2 Smashing Ground for monster removal. Stun decks, you know, I don't like seeing Thunder King or Fossil Dyna. This gets rid of them. And you run Smashing Ground over Soul Taker because you don't want your opponent getting life points. Them getting life points means that you become unable to OTK them that turn, because that extra 1,000 life points makes a huge difference. This deck can't put out 10,000 damage right now, not until we get Gustav Max. So, yeah, just being able to smashing off that Thunder King is very important. 2 Forbidden Chalice, just for decks that main deck Macro Cosmos and render your Effect Veiler useless, use this. 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirror for the Dark World and Inzektor matchup, and then 2 Royal Decree. Gonna take this up to 3. It's just there for 14 trap cards deck, and shutting off your Shadow Imprisoning Mirror when you're ready to go nuts on Inzektors and Dark World. So that is the Hieratic Dragon deck. Hope you guys liked it. Thank you all for watching. Until next time.